If you're moving along in this Windows 10 course sequentially, then you know we just did a nugget entitled Device Drivers. It's time to build on that nugget now and review some advanced device driver management that we can complete in Windows 10. This is indeed a hands-on lab nugget, so go ahead on the main course page and launch the hands-on lab link if you would like to follow along with me. I'll give you a moment to pause the video right now and go launch that lab to follow along. Now, the first advanced technique that we want to review is driver rollback. This is so awesome. Instead of completely uninstalling a driver, what you have the ability to do in Device Manager is just roll back to your previously installed driver. So your device was functioning great, there was a driver update, you applied the driver update, and now, oops, it's not functioning great anymore. You know you'll be fine if you just go back that one level of driver, just roll back to that previous level. So let's review how we do this. We're going to right-click the Start button, for example, and we'll choose Device Manager as an easy way to get to Device Manager. Inside Device Manager, let's go ahead and click this device here. Remember what this symbol would mean? That little download symbol on it means that this is currently disabled, this particular device. All right, so what we would do is right-click, and we'd go into the properties for this device driver. And what you do is go to the Driver tab, and you would simply choose Rollback Driver. You'll note this will be grayed out and not available for any devices in here where Windows 10 has not registered an updated driver. So this one doesn't have an updated driver we've ever applied, so that's why the Rollback Driver feature is not available. But it's very important you know how to get to this feature and how to initiate it, and also, for exam purposes, why you might do so. Remember, we just had a device update, and we want to roll back to the previous version of the device drivers for that device. And maybe that device driver update was causing some serious problems. In fact, maybe we want to go into Safe Boot. How is that done in Windows 10? Let's review that. Remember, by default, Windows 10 no longer allows a key press sequence to initiate the bootloader menu at startup. One of the reasons Microsoft did away with this was because they really wanted to improve dramatically the boot times of Windows 10. Well, we can certainly tweak our system to bring that behavior back, but what's a really nice feature is anytime you're doing your troubleshooting and you want to do like a safe boot, we can initiate that from the msconfig utility. So I just go down here to locate, choose System Configuration from the list when you type msconfig, and notice we have a boot menu, and we can go in and say we want safe boot to occur, and we can specify the type of safe boot like minimal, and then the logging options, base video, and things of that nature. We can then reboot the system and we can safe boot. Safe boot is going to be a frequent utility feature, frequent methodology that we're going to use when we're fighting device driver issues on a Windows 10 machine. Now remember, another thing that could make your device drivers unstable is some type of Windows update. So your driver's fine, but now the Windows update is causing your driver to be a problem. So what we might want to do is get rid of that Windows update. Let's review quickly how we do that. Very simple. So I'm going to go down to my Cortana area and I'll search on update. And then I'll go to the, Windows update settings will be fine. And in here, notice that there's the update history. So we can go in and we can look at what updates have been installed. And if there's an update that's causing us a problem, we can select it and we can uninstall that update. So this isn't directly about device drivers, but kind of indirectly about device drivers, isn't it? Because we can have updates that cause us problems inside of Windows, and this would be our easy troubleshooting steps to undo that. Now, to keep things stable in your Windows 10 environment, you probably are going to want to stay in a world where all of the device drivers are trusted and signed device drivers, stamped with their stamp of approval from Microsoft and the vendor. And there's an easy way for you to quickly check your system for signed drivers. Let's do it together. What we do is we right-click once again on the Start button here, and we'll choose Command Prompt, the elevated admin command prompt, and just say yes from the prompt there, and we're at this elevated command prompt. You will run sig verif. It's an exe file, and notice it's going to launch a graphical user interface. And it says, hey, look, we'll go ahead and check all the critical files that have been digitally signed to make sure you're in good shape. The advanced option would allow you to set up what's going to happen as far as logging this feature goes. So we'll just go ahead and accept the default logging settings. I'll click start, and it's going to scan all the device drivers on the system, and it's going to let us know if any unsigned drivers have been detected. This is such a great security step for us, and a stability step, making sure that everything that we're using has been digitally signed and should be safe as a result of that. Now, there is another extremely powerful tool that Microsoft gives us in order to literally test drivers. This tool is more of a developer thing, really, but I wanted to show it to you. It's so cool. So we're going to type at the elevated command prompt verifier. So you have a developer and they're creating this driver, and they want to make sure that the driver they're working on doesn't have any errors against the system. This device driver verifier can do that. So they'll come in and I'll just display information, for instance, about a selected driver. We'll come in here and we'll add a driver to the list. Let's go grab like MSFS, for instance. So where is that in our list? Right there. So we grab the MSFS driver and we load it into the system. And now what it will do is it will run a series of checks against that driver. So notice these were the recommended checks that would be done against that driver. And if there are errors or things of that nature, we would see them in this verifier manager. Mainly a tool for developers, like I said. In some instances, this could help us track down like a blue screen of death that we're getting because of some faulty driver on our system. But that is typically something we would learn about from Microsoft, and we wouldn't have to track that down ourselves manually with this tool. But I certainly wanted to show you this because of how cool it is, and to know the types of tools that our developers have access to when they are working with device drivers on the system. Now, the last topic that we need to cover here together in this nugget is the driver store and how you can manipulate the driver store with driver packages. We know, and we looked at it in the device drivers section, that we have this drivers folder on our system and that this is considered the driver store and the driver information is placed there. Most users of your Windows 10 systems are not going to have permissions to manipulate this in any way. You can go in and you can install device driver packages for them on their systems using the PNP util utility. So here at an elevated command prompt, we'll type PNP util, and you'll see the syntax to add and delete drivers with this utility. And you know that anytime we have a command line way to do something, we're probably going to have a PowerShell equivalent. And that is exactly what happens in this regard. In PowerShell, there is a commandlet that's called get-pnp device. And that would allow you to display information about plug-and-play devices on the system. Then there's get-pnp device property. There's enable PNP device. There's disable PNP device. So we have plenty of PowerShell options to do the important aspects of PNP util. So in this nugget, we took a look at advanced device driver management, and we discussed things like device driver rollback and the verification that we can do of the device drivers on our system. I hope you found this nugget informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.